Am I the a-hole for canceling my credit card after my boyfriend refused to return it to me? I'll preface by saying that me, 27 female, and my boyfriend, 30, have been together for 3 years and a half. I've been jumping from one job to another, while he has been unemployed due to health issues that affected his performance at work. Usually, I'm the one handling rent, bills, groceries, etc. I use my credit card to make any purchase I want. Last week, my boyfriend out of nowhere asked for my credit card. I asked why, since I'm the one who handles payments and supermarket trips. He told me he wanted to buy some food and I agreed to let him take it but told him to return it later. He got back later and when I asked about my credit card, he was like, "What credit card?" I thought he was joking, so I told him to just give it back. He said to just keep it with him. I asked why and he said so he could start handling paying for stuff on my behalf. I felt uncomfortable and said I'd rather not burden him with his stuff and asked him to hand over the credit card. He refused and said that he'll just keep it, since it doesn't have that much money anyway. I was livid. I tried to argue but he told me to just trust him and let him keep it and swore he won't spend a penny from it. Next morning, I went and canceled it and then registered a new one. He must have had tried to use it because he called and was confused asking why the credit card was not valid anymore. I told him it's because I canceled it and registered a new one. He lost it and started scolding me, saying he couldn't believe I had this level of pettiness, and kept on about how I don't trust him with my finances, and how financially abusive I have become lately. I hung up on him. The argument continued at home and he called me paranoid and unreasonable and all that. Then he started cold shouldering me and sulking about it for days. I do feel like I hurt his feelings and showed an amount of distrust towards him. Am I the a-hole for canceling the credit card? Edit/adding in some info. Like I said, he has a physical disability that limits his opportunities for work. He receives no disability benefits because he doesn't want to. He refuses to acknowledge he has a disability and pretends that it doesn't exist at all. When I tell him to look for a job, he'd blame people for purposely refusing to employ him and say that they look down on him like he's lacking or beneath them. He comes from a humble background, no longer has contact with family due to abandonment issues but has some friends to lean on. Since someone asked, the answer is I do almost 80% of the chores while he does the other 20%. Reasons for that is his disability. Finally, I pay for rent, bills, groceries, his meds and transportation as well, so I needed a card to be constantly with me. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He swore he won't spend a penny from it, followed by the next day he must have had tried to use it. Your instincts were excellent, as was your decisive and immediate action. You know what he wanted was wrong. Trust yourself. This right here. Then has the nerve to say she's mistreating him financially. He's using her and leeching. Not the a-hole. Maybe time to cancel your boyfriend as well. I wish this forum wasn't so divorce happy because it really takes away from situation like this where the only reasonable answer is to actually break up. This would be such a deal breaker for me. To be fair, the can't work because disability but still refuses to acknowledge disability and gets benefits for it thing would have been a deal breaker for me in the first place. But taking your credit card and refusing to give it back when asked is so disrespectful I could never trust him again. If your marriage is in such a state that you have to turn here, it's almost always over anyway. Seriously, sometimes I may have issues with my partner but not to the level where I need a sanity check from strangers. The last time that happened with me, it was like, so my boyfriend blocked me in. Was it okay for me to yell at him to leave me alone? I don't want to be abusive. I was thankful that people in my life went, WTF, I didn't realize it was this bad. Sometimes people's sense of normal is broken down so bad. Also beware. Since he isn't working, that means he can get to the mail first and take the replacement card when it arrives. This, and block your credit files. He might be shadier than you think. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to defend my wife to my mom and telling my wife to get over it? We currently live with my mom and will be out as soon as possible. We had a baby and a couple setbacks, but this isn't working for anyone. In the past, I've always stood up for my wife when my mom was rude. Recently, my wife had a friend over and my mom was going on a date. He was waiting for her in the living room and I guess overheard my wife and her friend talking about how hot he was and really going on and on about it. Even as far as they want to go and smell his neck, and how was my mom even going to talk to him because they would just blank out and stare. He mentioned it to my mom while they were out, and my mom was angry the next morning. She yelled at my wife, called her creepy and jealous. My wife asked me if I was really going to let her yell. I said it is humiliating that their conflict stems from her talking about another guy like that, so why would I defend her? My mom did have an attitude, so I feel kind of bad. My wife then said my mom shouldn't have let him sleep over when we have a baby, and my mom doesn't really know him. And my mom lost it and was screaming, "Do you want to be on the streets? One more word and you are homeless." My wife turned to me crying and asked if I really wasn't going to do anything. I said I was embarrassed by what she said, and she's acting entitled when it is my mom's house. She called me a coward and ran off. She is now refusing to speak to me and telling people how I'm a mama's boy, which I think is unfair as we don't even get along anymore. But I don't see why I would stand up for her when she humiliated me with what she was saying. Not stay whole. Your wife is wrong here in every way. Your mother isn't obligated to change her social life just because you are all there. She's right. You are lucky she lets you live there. Adding 2 adults and a baby to her home can't be easy on her. Let's all call out that this all started with a wife and friend being creeps. There really isn't much to defend here. If someone is being a creep and gets called out for it, I'm not going to back them up. I'm going to call out the creepy behavior. The nature of the relationship doesn't change this. Yeah, society even gives women a pass for being creepy about attractive men, whereas it's more common to call out men who are being creepy about attractive women. It's definitely true that a man being creepy to a woman is more likely to cause bodily harm than a woman to a man, but both definitely need to be called out when they happen. I'm a woman, and imagining anyone other than an established partner, regardless of gender, talking about how hot I am and wanting to smell me? Big alarm bells. I'm surprised Opie's wife, as a woman who has presumably been creeped on by men in the past, didn't have more self-awareness. If my partner said this about someone else, my concern would be with them objectifying someone and being creepy, not about how embarrassed I am that they found someone other than me attractive. I wouldn't be backing up my partner either. So I don't agree with Opie's reasoning for not supporting their wife, but I agree with the end result. This is a major mess around and find out moment for Opie's wife. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to split rent with my boyfriend? I, female 23, have been dating my boyfriend Jake, male 23, since our freshman year of college. In our last year of undergrad, we decided to rent an apartment together. We split everything 50-50, including utilities, groceries, and rent. We continued living together in the same town as our college after graduation, but recently we both got jobs in Chicago and we are currently living downtown. My dad works in real estate, and he has multiple investment properties. My dad generously allowed me to live in one of his properties rent-free, but he said that my boyfriend would have to pay him $400 a month for rent. My dad is very protective, but he has been nothing but kind to my boyfriend. My dad's reasoning for making my boyfriend pay rent is that he wants to be sure that my boyfriend is with me for me, and not because he will have a free place to live. Keep in mind, if my dad was renting this apartment out to tenants, he would charge $2,100 a month for rent. Very ritzy building in the middle of downtown Chicago. My boyfriend is mad at me because he asked me for my half of the $400 for rent, and I explained to him that I will not be paying rent. My dad is only charging him. He says that we have been splitting rent for the past 2 years, so why would we stop now? Our rent in our college town was $1,200, so we were both paying $600 a month. Our apartment in Chicago is significantly nicer, and he is paying $200 less a month than what he was in college. Is the idea that my dad doesn't charge me for rent but charges my boyfriend so crazy? Should I suck it up and pay half because I can afford it? Edit. Jake and I still split utilities and groceries 50-50. And when we go out on date nights, we switch off who pays for it. If it pays 1 week, I'll pay the next. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Rent isn't $400. It's $2,100. Point out that if he wants to split rent, then do so by having your dad charge the full amount, which means his portion is $1,050. Pay your dad that, and dad can give it back to you or put it in an escrow to save for a future house. The $400 is a major discount for him, and dad lets you have it for free. This is exactly what I was thinking. The boyfriend thinks he is entitled to Opie's perks. He is the boyfriend, not even husband. He is not immediate family, and the dad is giving him a very good deal already. Don't expect wifey level service at girlfriend prices. Not the a-hole. A nice ritzy building, check. Located in downtown, check. Only $400 a month, double check. Near your jobs? Check. Getting the family discount from girlfriend's dad? Check. What more does your boyfriend want? Clearly he's not seeing the bigger picture. He's getting a lot of perks because of you and he only has to pay a fraction of the rent. Doesn't he realize that millions don't have that luxury in these critical times of the economy? Plus, he's failing miserably with your dad's test. Your dad's suspicions are kinda right. Maybe dad is spot on with his reasoning. Not the OP, but depending on how hard your boyfriend pushes, this should be a red flag. I think your dad just showed a lot of who Jake is. Explain that rent is $2,100 a month and he is expected to pay $400. You are paying $1,700, but you are receiving support from your family to do so. If he would like to split rent, he is welcome to pay $1,050. Your boyfriend is either 1. Greedy and disingenuous, or 2. Stupid. Either way is not attractive. I vote for this too. Giving him the benefit of the doubt, maybe he's really not aware how much rent costs in this area. But if he doubles down on splitting $400 rent, then I think he definitely failed Papa's test like a fool. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my child's mother I'm not interested in her problems? Our child is 3 and we have altering weeks. My mother and sisters help me with childcare when I'm working, and I know I'm very lucky for this. My ex has recently started complaining that she's having trouble with childcare. The cost has become unreasonable and our daughter is at an age now where she screams and cries when left with someone she doesn't know. And she can scream. My girl has a bright future as a tuba player because those lungs are powerful. I told my ex that my mom could watch our daughter for her, but she said she didn't want my family watching her daughter on her time. I figured that was the end of the conversation, but she brought it up again at the next swap. I asked her why she was telling me this, and she got offended. She said I should care about her struggle since it involves our daughter. I said it's not possible to sympathize with problems that have easy solutions. She wants to waste her money on babysitters our daughter hates. That's her choice. If it causes problems for her, those are her problems. If she doesn't want my help, which she doesn't, then there's no reason for us to discuss her problems, as nothing can come out of it. She said I was being an a-hole and she just wanted a sympathetic ear, that she needs to talk about her problems sometimes. I said that's what a therapist is for, or her friends or something. I'm not going to pretend to be interested in her problems. I don't like problems. I like solutions. She said that that's why our relationship ended, and I agreed that it was, and asked her why she expected me to do something for her now that we're broken up. Listen to problems without offering solutions, when I wouldn't even do that when we're together. She knows I'm only interested in solutions, not problems. Why was she expecting something else? My sister said it's important to have good communication with my child's mother and I should pretend to care even though I don't, just to keep that communication line open. She said it's only once a week, and saying, "I'm sorry, that sucks," costs me nothing, and takes less time than saying, "Your problems aren't real problems and I don't care," and start a fight. She might have a point. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I can't believe your ex is turning down free childcare. Unless your family is rude or mistreat her in some way. Some parents use an app for communication. Could be something to look into. My mom is always nice to her, and my ex really liked my mom before we broke up. For her, it's the principle of the thing. Like, my family should only see our daughter on my time. Which, fine, but then figure out your own childcare, right? Is it possible that instead of wanting a sympathetic ear to listen, she actually wanted money out of the situation? Like she thought she can get you to pay for her childcare if she complains enough. Not the a-hole. She needs to move on and stop depending on you for emotional support. Divorce means the end of the relationship between you and her, as anything more than parents. We weren't married, but I completely agree with you. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not paying my niece's college tuition? 40-year-old male here. My niece, Bryn, recently started attending her second-choice college. And apparently, I'm a selfish a-hole for making it impossible for her to go to her dream school. Earlier this year, when Bryn got accepted to her dream school, the family had a little get-together to celebrate. While there, my sister, Bryn's mom, pulled me aside and asked if I would pay Bryn's tuition. The school is out of state, so it was going to be too expensive for my sister and brother-in-law, a little upwards of $50,000 per year. I said no. I'll admit that I felt terrible since we were at a gathering to celebrate her acceptance, and now she couldn't attend. But I was also blindsided because there had never been any mention before about me financing Bryn's college. My parents, sister, brother-in-law, and Bryn nagged me for months trying to change my mind, saying that Bryn is my only niece, and I should reward her for working so hard. She really is a great student, and I'm proud of her graduating on the honor roll. But I just don't think that means I need to spend $50,000 per year. I consider myself to be a pretty frugal guy, relative to what I make at least, and $50,000 is about what I spend annually for all my living expenses combined. I thought that by the time Bryn started at her current university, she would get over it and see that this school is great too. But I'm still getting the cold shoulder and snide remarks every time I go to my sister's or parents' house. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Everyone else involved is though. What kind of backward nonsense is that? You don't understand though. The family at the moment isn't allowed to say no. Wait a second. Why would there be any expectation for you to fund her education? It seems a little bizarre that out of nowhere you'd be asked to stump up $50,000 a year. I mean, if that's what happens, then definitely not the a-hole and your family's crazy. But I don't know. Something doesn't add up. Based on my experience of AITA questions, I assume that OP has no children, and therefore siblings that do see him as an ATM. OP is definitely not the a-hole here. You hit the nail on the head. Edit. Some people are asking why my sister thinks I would be able to pay for this. I make about $700,000 annually and have no children or wife. I've helped my family out of some rough spots before, $30,000 in medical debt, etc. I feel guilty because I probably got them accustomed to sudden favors when they needed it. As someone else stated, I became an ATM. But I think $50,000 every single year is different. Final edit. I will consider paying partial tuition. Earlier, I was thinking about paying for one of the 4 years. We'll see. Am I the a-hole for ruining my boyfriend's perfect proposal plan because I was hangry? I, 26 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 27 male, for a little over 3 years. He's great, smart, funny, a decent cook, if you like everything covered in hot sauce, and just a genuinely sweet guy. We've talked about marriage, so it wasn't a surprise that he was going to propose at some point. I just didn't know how or when. So here's what happened. Last week, he told me to get dressed nice but comfy, and that we were going for a surprise evening. First of all, that's already suspicious, because the man once told me surprise food and took me to Taco Bell. But okay, I went along with it. We ended up driving about 45 minutes out of the city to this really pretty nature trail near a lake. Mind you, it's already 6:30 p.m. I hadn't eaten since lunch, and all I had was a granola bar that I shared with our dog earlier. So I'm getting grumpy, and not cute sassy grumpy. Like, why did I leave the house if there's no food here? Kind of grumpy. He wants to go on this long walk to the perfect spot, and I'm like, bro, I love you, but I'm about to chew on this pine cone. I start complaining, not screaming or anything, just saying, I'm seriously starving. Can we go get food first and come back? He's acting weird and insists we go now, or the moment will be gone. I don't get it and say I'm not walking any further without food. He gets quiet, we leave, and end up getting burgers. Later that night, he tells me that he was going to propose there, and I ruined the moment. I feel kinda bad because, yeah, I did complain a lot. But also, he planned a full-on hike during dinner time and didn't bring snacks. Does he not know me? I told him maybe next time, schedule a proposal when I'm not at war with my stomach. He laughed, but I can tell he's still a little disappointed. Now his friends are saying I was self-centered and killed the romance. My friends say if he wanted a perfect moment, he should have fed me first. So, am I the a-hole for ruining my own proposal because I was hangry and needed fries more than a fiancé? Now for the top comments. If he really knew you well enough to want to marry you, he should have at least packed a picnic meal to eat when you got there or on the way. Right? Thank you. I was out there thinking I was the crazy one for not wanting to get engaged on an empty stomach in the middle of a forest. A picnic would have totally saved the day and probably gotten him a yes right then and there lol. A series of unfortunate events. He didn't think about time of day and food and hanger. You couldn't read his mind to be able to predict what plans he had. Your collection of friends are not helping by taking sides, by the way. Yes, exactly this LOL. Like, how was she supposed to know? He really thought vibes is more important than dinner. Lots of pressure being placed on these perfect moments. Everyone is picturing these TikTok vids with professional makeup, perfect lighting, etc., etc. Don't you guys know none of them are spontaneous, real, or even just planned? They are rehearsed. He needs to be realistic. You both need to be forgiving. Good luck. I was on the couch watching my wife on the ground playing with one of our kitties. I got off the couch and crawled over on all fours to her and gave her a deep kiss and said, "You want to get married?" And she burst into happy tears and hugged me so tight I thought I would pass out. That's a perfect moment. I once had an ex tell me that I ruined his proposal plan. We were traveling by train. He was apparently planning to do it at the station. I thought we needed to catch the train. He ended up later telling me after he did propose that he felt like I made him and he never wanted to. The next time I was proposed to by a different man, I made us late because I declined to go in the store we were supposed to and said I wanted to go in a different store instead. He humored me. I was late to my own proposal. We laughed about it. He never accused me of ruining anything or messing with his plans. You can never ruin a surprise by accident because you can't ruin a surprise. What I mean by that is, if you are genuinely in the dark about something and don't accommodate their surprise plans, it's okay. You can ruin the surprise element, but the moment is still there and the event or plan can still happen. You didn't know he was planning something and then messed it up on purpose. You were hungry and wanted food. Honestly, your boyfriend should know by now that you get hangry if you aren't fed. And his plan wasn't brief, a 45-minute drive followed by a hike at dinner time. Next story. Am I the a-hole for expecting my girlfriend to handle housework since I pay for everything? We've been together for 3 years now. About a year ago, she stopped working completely. I didn't really mind at the time because I make enough to support both of us. I work in tech and my income covers everything we need. I figured it would be fine. I thought if I was working long hours to pay the bills, then she would take care of things at home to keep us balanced. I work 50 to 60 hours a week, sometimes more, and I pay for literally everything. Rent, groceries, utilities, her personal shopping, vacations, takeout, anything we do or buy. It all comes from me. Since she's home all day, I assumed she'd handle most of the housework. Things like dishes, laundry, cleaning, cooking, and doing the grocery shopping. But that's not what's happening. At best, the household stuff is split 50-50, and sometimes I feel like I'm still doing more. I'll come home from a long draining day and have to do dishes or figure out dinner because nothing's been made. When I try to talk about it and ask if she can help out more, she says I'm being controlling and tells me she's not my maid. And it's like, I'm not asking for a maid. I'm asking for a fair partnership. I'm not trying to boss her around. I just want us to both contribute in some way. If the roles were reversed and she was the one working full-time to support us, I'd gladly take care of the home completely. No hesitation. It just feels unfair that I'm carrying everything, financially and emotionally, and she doesn't seem to see that. On top of that, our sex life has basically disappeared. I know relationships go through dry spells, but between the lack of connection and the imbalance at home, I'm starting to feel more like a roommate with a wallet than a boyfriend. Most of her days are spent at the gym, watching shows all day or going out shopping, and it's almost always with my credit card. She's not looking for a job, she's not studying or building toward anything, and she doesn't really talk about plans for the future. I'm starting to feel used, to be honest. I don't want to just explode on her or start a fight, but I've been holding this in for a while and it's eating at me. I'm beginning to think I need to sit her down and say, "Hey, this setup isn't working for me anymore. I need you to step up and help more, or we need to rethink this whole relationship." Would I be an a-hole if I told her that straight up? Not the a-hole. You have the right to determine if this relationship and behavior is what you want to live with for the rest of your life. It's time to give her the gift of being an adult. You aren't in a healthy romantic relationship. She's a leech. I'm not your maid. Well, I'm not your bank account. Exactly. I'm not your maid, I'm your parasite. Right? Partnership goes both ways. If she's not contributing financially, picking up more at home seems fair. I work in tech and my husband was a stay-at-home husband for a while before our kids came. He kept our place spotless and grocery shopped and cooked. It was great. He did that stuff while I worked, and then whenever I got home we could hang out together or do hobbies or separate activities. Perfectly balanced moment in our life. Now we've got kids, so everything's upside down. But if we had no kids, then heck yes, I'd expect him to do all the household crap. Otherwise, what the heck you doing all day? She can still go to the gym and stuff, and like nobody's ever binged a TV show while folding laundry before? It's honestly not even that hard to maintain a home where two adults live. Come on, you're being used and I think you know it. My husband watches our 3 kids during the day and still gets the dishes and laundry done most of the time before I am off work. I took 2 months off when my son was 6. I did everything around the house, unless my wife felt like helping with something. Got my son to and from school. It was the easiest 2 months of my adult life. Even with a kid, I only had like 2 to 3 hours of work a day at most. Next story. Am I the a-hole for prioritizing law school over my girlfriend's baby fever? My girlfriend Katie, 25, and I, 25 male, have been together for 3 years. She's been bringing up wanting to have a baby lately, saying how some of her friends are already married with kids. I get that, but I've told her clearly that now is not the time. I'm not ready, and we're not in a place financially or mentally to even consider raising a kid. I'm in my 2nd year of law school and fully buried in it. I'm exhausted, broke, and just trying to get through this without completely losing my mind. Yesterday, she told me I'm not doing my due diligence in trying to understand how she feels. But honestly, I don't get what there is to understand. I told her that my point of view is simple. I'm not having a kid while I'm broke, sleep-deprived, and still in school. I said that it's not a personal attack on her. It's just basic logic. She got upset and said it feels like I'm emotionally checked out and just waiting for an excuse to leave. I got frustrated and told her if having a kid ASAP is that important to her, she should find someone who's ready for it, because I'm not going to blow up my future over her baby fever. One of her friends messaged me saying I'm a manipulative a-hole who doesn't care about her. I honestly think they're all being dramatic. I was upfront and honest. I didn't yell or insult her. I just said I'm not going to throw away years of work to play house before I'm ready. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. She shouldn't be pressuring and manipulating you into having a child. If she can't understand that you want to be stable before having a kid, because of how draining it is mentally and financially, I think y'all should break up. No kidding. My daughter was in law school in a different state. She had very little time for anyone. We all knew that being in law school meant her life was on hold until she graduated, and we all accepted it. His girlfriend is being selfish and just thinking about herself and her wants. She needs to decide what's important, being with the right man and waiting until the right time to have a baby, or finding a guy that will give her a baby now. One thing I'll say is, OP wear protection. Have the ones you use hidden in case she accidentally puts a hole in the ones in the nightstand. It's been known to happen. Don't trust that she's on birth control and is actually taking it as scheduled. Not the a-hole, and best of luck with your schooling. It's worth the sacrifices you're making now for your future. Why are she and her friend taking this so lightly? It's basic logic not wanting to have a kid in your situation. There's no way that kid will grow up in a good environment if you're still in school and stressed over it. A kid is not a pet. You're stuck with it for at least 18 years if you're lucky. Once you get a degree, a job, a house, then it would be a good time to commit to raising a kid. In your situation, it's just a disaster waiting to happen, not only for your relationship with her, constantly fighting over personal time, money, etc., but also for a child, who will most likely grow up in an unstable household because he wasn't wanted in the first place. You'll both have resentment for each other if you do that, in my opinion. Is your girlfriend still in school? Nope. She is working as HR at a fairly big company. She goes on and on about having good maternal leave, and that her mom loves to have a grandkid, and she'll have our back. Last story. Am I the a-hole for replying to my boyfriend's baby mama when she texted me? I, 25 female, am dating a 36 male, let's call him John, who has a 5-year-old daughter with a 42 female, let's call her Jane, who lives 5 states away from us. He moved to the state I live in after they broke up. We started dating a year after they broke up, and we've been together for about 10 months. We moved in together a couple of months ago. John broke his phone, so he was using my old iPhone with his SIM card in it, but my iCloud account. He messaged Jane. Nothing weird, he just said good morning. He usually checks in on them every other day, and I'm aware of it and we're good about it. The message actually sent with my iCloud instead of his number. I was at work, and she replied saying, "Who is this?" I was in the middle of my busy shift, and I just assumed it was one of the girls I work with, because I had recently messaged one of them asking for shift coverage. So I just replied saying, "It's me, OP." There was no reply, so I checked again, and noticed the message John had sent on top. Me and Jane have never spoken or met before this text. I replied and said, "Sorry, I think John meant to message you, but it was sent from my iCloud." She replies and says, "Are you his girlfriend? Do you live together?" He told me he doesn't have a girlfriend. I was a bit surprised by the bunch of questions. I didn't want to reply anymore, but I was feeling a little upset that he didn't tell her I existed. So I said yes, and that we live together. Jane replies, "Has he told you he loves you? Have you met his family? How long have you been dating?" So at that point, I'm like, okay, she is weird. Why is she asking me these? The audacity. So I don't reply. Jane messages me again and says, "Because he lives with you, he doesn't want to call his daughter, because he doesn't want me to know he's dating you." I told her it's not a secret that he has a daughter with her, and I've been there when he's called them. But I respect whatever choices he makes for this part of his life, so I don't want to overstep. I just let him be. He'll introduce me whenever he's ready. She replies and says, "I respect that." I don't reply. She messages again, "Does he tell you that he's moving back here?" I replied and said he has only told me he's sad to be so far away and wants to see his daughter grow up. Jane replied, "If you make him happy and respect my daughter, I'm fine with everything." I don't reply. She messages again. He lies to me to make himself look good. That's what he does. I don't reply. Next day she messages me, "Do you know if John got a bus ticket to come back to our state?" I don't reply. She messages again a couple of hours later, and suddenly her tone is rude. "You can have John. Keep him there and make more babies he doesn't take care of. Good luck. He said you guys were just roommates, not dating." I don't reply. She sends a screenshot of John messaging her saying he misses them and misses her. I don't reply. Through all of this, John and I were open about the messages from her. He tells me, "I told you she's crazy. Why did you have to reply to her when you knew I was the one who messaged her?" I said I didn't realize it. I was busy at work and assumed it was one of the girls I work with. He's mad. That night, I finally sent her a reply and I said, "You're probably hurting right now, and I'm so sorry things are this way. I don't know what you want me to say to these things you're telling me and the screenshot of his messages to you. Sometimes life just doesn't work out the way we want it to. I'm sorry we got to know each other under these circumstances. I'm sure you are a nice person, and I respect you." Side note, I wasn't that upset with the stuff she sent because my boyfriend has been faithful and so supportive of me. I kind of wanted to hear him out first, as I trust his words over hers. The screenshot didn't upset me because I felt it was valid for him to miss them. He was once there, had a family, and now he's far away. I believe he can love me and miss them at the same time. Anyway, I don't know if my last message to her made her furious, but she gave my boyfriend so much grief that he was stressing and got mad at me for getting involved in messaging her. I stated I remained respectful and that he was the one using my phone to message her to begin with. I just replied to the message that was sent to me. John made me feel like an a-hole and said I've ruined his chances to have a connection with his daughter because the baby mama told him they won't answer his calls and that they'll call him when they want to. It made me so sad for him, but I don't know, was I the a-hole? He's playing both of you. Yep, these men always play the she's crazy card. I guarantee he's telling his baby mama the same thing about OP. He wants to watch his daughter grow up, yet moved 5 states away from her. Why do you think he would treat you and your potential future family together any better than he treated his last one? Exactly. His actions don't match his words. He's playing the sad sausage to manipulate both of you. Who's paying the bills here? Guessing OP, since he was able to just up and leave his entire life to shack up with someone in another state. Doesn't seem like this guy has a steady career, but I bet he's full of almost plausible excuses as to why.
He's a member of the Everything is Everyone Else's Fault Club.